Hi everybody, welcome to Ecodriver. My name is Helmut. Today we go out on our Ecodriver loop with the Hyundai i10 MT. This car has a 3-cylinder engine, 49 kilowatts, 67 horsepower. It's a 1-liter engine and the unladen weight is 984 kilograms, 2,165 pounds. The WLTP consumption is stated with 5.3 liters per 100 kilometers. That's 53.3 mpg UK. NEPD consumption is 4.5, which I think is rather realistic in this case to achieve, or easy to achieve, and I think we might stay well below that at the end of this trip. At SprintMonitor.de, where all the real users of this car or any car can enter the details of their consumption with their respective cars, we have 5.92 liters per 100 kilometers on average, which is 47.9 mpg UK, and the range goes from 4.47 to 7.6. The route we're doing, I'll show you here, for those who are on this channel for the first time. We start at the southern edge of Innsbruck. We go out of town for 1 kilometer. It's a 30 kilometer an hour zone, and then we have a climb which elevates us up 360 meters, followed by some rolling hills, a descent, open road section with through some villages and small towns, motorway, and at the end 18 kilometers of city traffic. At the end of every section we look at the sectoral and overall consumption, and at the end of the whole trip we analyze it. I leave the cameras on all the time. How am I doing this? And not to show how good I am, but it's just how it can be done to achieve a consumption like this. And as I said, I guess we will end up in the low 4s with this car. And secondly, to see that there is no need to go slow in order to have a good consumption, a good efficiency. On the contrary, all those slow cars, and I'm sure we will see them today, they are not efficient. So look at the speed limits, look at the speed I'm going, and then you see that we are not slow. The weather is okay today. You see scenery, you see the mountains. It's a bit overcast, but yeah, that's not a problem. And I'll talk to you after every section, and until then, have fun and enjoy the trip. Well, at the end of the climb, you probably have noticed that I wasn't able to maintain my usual driving style, which is keeping the revs very low, all the time below 2000. The torque of this engine is rather low, and it only comes at around 3,750 RPMs, and therefore it was necessary to rev up the engine a bit higher. And yeah, that's one of the disadvantages of such small engines, and it's for me it's a bit unusual to having to rev up the engine that high, but yeah, But we're here to test it, so therefore we have to do it. You don't need to do it if you just maintain the speed or if it's flat, but once it goes up, there's just not enough torque. So we're going around the corner and we have 7.9 liters per 100 kilometers. We're now coming onto the hills, and on the hills, especially with a weak engine like here, it's important to maintain the speed, keep the momentum, the build up momentum on the way down, so that you can take this kinetic energy into the next hill, and therefore the need for using additional power is reduced. And on the way up, don't try to maintain the speed at all cost or even accelerate. Just try to look ahead, read the road, and see that you can go up and down those hills with as little energy as possible. So at the end of the hills, we see here 5.8 liters per 100 kilometers. The only obstacle we had was more or less the white BMW on the hill. He went into the hill rather slowly and then accelerated in the hill, just the way I say you shouldn't do it. And now we have the bus, but that's not a big problem because he probably will disappear soon. On the way down, with this engine, that's how shall I say it, and I don't mean this in a negative way, that's an old-fashioned small petrol engine. So you have a rather weak braking power, which is positive in this case because you can go down with the gear in all the time and you still don't lose much momentum. And this means if the gear is connected to, if the engine is connected to the wheels, that means there is no, and the car is driving the engine, that means there is no fuel injected. This means we don't need any fuel at all. And let's hope we don't have, like we have most times, a very slow car in front of us, which prevents us from going down really efficiently, using the momentum to go into the flat sections. And let's see whether we can use the change of gradient really efficiently this time. Yeah, on the way down, you've seen it, we had no problems, no obstacles in front of us this time, which is very positive and rare. And I could go the whole way down without using the accelerator, apart from one very short section just on, at the end of this second flat section around the turn, where I had to accelerate a little bit in order to not lose too much speed. But 4.2 liters per 100 kilometers, that looks very good. My expectation was that we end up around 4.5 liters, between 4 and 4.5 liters. And yeah, I think we're well on the way. I think on the motorway we will have a pretty high consumption because the it's only 5-speed, and the gap between the gears is rather big, so therefore the RPMs might be rather high on the motorway, and therefore the consumption. But yeah, we'll see. Looks good so far. I've seen all those slow cars in front of us, trucks, buses, taxi drivers who obviously won their taxi license in the lottery. Anyway, 3.8 liters per 100 kilometers at the end of the open road section. Yep, that's pretty nice. And now let's go to the motorway, and here we are restricted to 100 kilometers per hour. We're coming to the end of the motorway, and you have noticed that the revs were always around 3,000 or even slightly above it. That's due to the only 5 gears of this car, and we pay the price on the consumption, where we have now 4.0 liters per 100 kilometers. We're now coming to the city section, and here it's important to keep the vehicle in motion, try to avoid stopping, try to avoid change of speed, and if you have to accelerate, try to do it with low revs but high load, so the burning process is more efficient. This car is equipped with start-stop automatic, as almost all cars nowadays. Then it's important to try to keep the engine off when it's off, not play with the clutch or the gears so that the engine starts too soon, and try to make sure that the engine goes off in the first place. So if you bring the car to a stop, then take all the measures to let the engine go off. So we are coming to the end of our trip on the Ecodriver loop with the Hyundai i10, and you've seen we had a bit of annoying traffic at the end in the city. However, looking at the board computer here, we see 4.0 liters per 100 kilometers, which is, that's impressive. And now the details. Okay, let's have a quick look at the details of our trip with the Hyundai i10. Here you see the overall and sectoral consumption, which you have already seen during the video. And if we put this all in context and here in the table, comparing all the conventional petrol cars I have tested so far, we see it's the most lightweight with just below a ton. It's with the least power, 49 kilowatts. It's a 1 liter 3-cylinder engine. Time was okay, it was just better than average. The WLTP consumption of 5.3 was easily beaten with 4.0. Even the NEPD consumption of 4.5, we are 12% below that, 12.5% below that. And if you look at the detailed consumptions, it's throughout, it's good. Even on the motorway, this car only has 5 gears, and at 105 kilometer speed according to Tacho and according to GPS around 102, the RPMs were above 3000, and we still had only 4.5 liters per 100 kilometers on the motorway. 4.0 in the city, that's better than any other car so far. That's in an area where we talk about hybrids. I had hybrid cars which had a not as good consumption as this. So I really have to say it's an impressive result, and it shows that some might call it old-fashioned concept of a small, naturally aspirated engine isn't the worst. We had similar cars with turbo engines, small turbo engines, and the consumption was higher. So I'm surprised. Positively surprised. As a drivetrain, as I said, it's not the most modern and advanced, but it does its job and it delivers an excellent result. If you're interested in this topic in general, I'll put a link up here with my 5 tips to drive ICE cars more efficiently. And if you want to see more of what I'm doing, feel free to subscribe to this channel, and if you hit the notification bell, you won't miss any new video. That's it for the i10. Thanks for watching. Take care. See you next time.